Welcome back to DR Sports, guys. Welcome back to day 10. I want to say day 10, yes, of the Wimbledon Roundup show. I'm here with lead judges. Unfortunately, we can't be in the studio today. There's so much going on in the world of sport, but we weren't going to leave you without some tennis content, especially after the day we've had. Lee, we actually spent some time watching a lot of the tennis together today. And wow, we were treated to another great day of quarterfinals, weren't we?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm in awe today of what I've seen. I've got to say that it was just mind-blowing. If you're a tennis fan, I think even if you're not a tennis fan, you watch that today, you're a tennis fan. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic, riveting stuff. Two different games completely, but the Nadal one, I don't know what happened there. It was just mind-blowing. It was a mind-blowing game. It's probably one of the best games that I've seen for a very, very long while.
I mean, I got to say, when I saw the quarterfinals line up, I did think we were in for a treat. Djokovic, Sinner, Nadal, Fritz. I thought this is going to be a good couple of days. But for 3 of the 4 men's quarterfinals to make it all the way to 5 sets, and Nick Kyrgios, of all people, to get it done in 3 pretty comfortably on court 1, who on earth would have seen that coming?
Great point.
They were pushed all the way. Novak and Rafa, for everything we say about them, and they deserve all the praise in the world, because you're right, they are absolutely mind-blowing. They were pushed by Sinner and Fritz. And before we go into, the games in particular, just a word on Yannick Sinner and Taylor Fritz, who, I mean, fair play to them. They really pushed them all the way.
Yeah, and if they can, I know that Taylor Fritz, I was saying earlier on, has had a few injuries, but if they can stay injury-free, them two, then the next generation coming through, what I've seen, good serves, good games, good ground strokes, good from the back of the court, pushed the 2 best players in the tournament by a long way, all the way. I actually felt at some stage yesterday that Djokovic might go out, and I also at one stage today thought Nadal was going out. So they pushed them completely all the way. But I don't know about you, James, but I've got more admiration and for both players, for Djokovic and Nadal through this tournament. I just think it's just remarkable. They're like Duracell batteries. They keep going. It's just unbelievable what I'm seeing. Lighter on his feet, Djokovic, and he and probably doesn't do so much energy. But Nadal puts his body completely on the line every day, and I've just got so much admiration for him. I'll tell you that after today. Wow.
Commitment, I mean, Rafa's commitment never ever wavers, does it? With every shot, it's still giving it absolutely everything, and you wouldn't do it any other way. Now, let's talk about everything on centre court first and foremost, and we are going to discuss Rafa Nadal. We talked about Taylor Fritz and what an effort he gave him, but that game on centre court, it looked for a minute with Rafa losing the first set, and then you've got the abdominal problems. You weren't really sure, but he found a way just to dig out the win in that second. And then he said he had the pain the whole way through. So, fair enough. But he did seem to settle. It looked like the painkillers kicked in. He got some medical attention. But he was clearly not quite comfortable there. You could see it in his serve. He couldn't really clearly, obviously, that's the shot you're reaching the most up in the air. He didn't look particularly comfortable. Yet he was still pulling out some unbelievable shots. I mean, what does it take to get to that level anyway without injuries? And yet to do it with an injury as well. I mean, this guy's unbelievable.
Well, it's just incredible. I can't believe what I've watched today, because what he had to do was he had to change his serve and also put it down about 20 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And so he knew he was going to get broken a few times here and there, but that didn't, it didn't stop his actual play. It was different movements and whatever. So it wasn't affecting his stomach muscles, only the serve. So what he decided to do, and I just think it's fantastic, he said, okay, I'll cut down on my serve and I'll play you a game of tennis. And I just thought, I tell you what, I didn't think he was going to win. I'm going to be honest. I thought, and even when he broke him, do you remember we was actually texting each other, weren't we, when he broke him and then he broke straight back? I actually thought that was it, done and dusted. But from that point on, Nadal just went up a gear.
Yeah.
And the tie break, well, you know, I just blown away how good he was. You know, some of the shots, you know what I mean, the power and hitting the corners and the edge of the line consistently, James, was incredible. I just, what a tennis player he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He actually today. You know, when we talk about players rely on their serves and all that, he today had to rely on his tennis ability.
Yeah, his ground strokes, his consistency.
Yeah, he had to go. He had to go right. I can't rely on my serve. I'm just going to have to play you at tennis. And you know, like when you look at people like you know, Kyrgios, sometimes their serve gets them out of jail. He knew for 4 sets that his serve wasn't going to get him out of jail. It was just he had to play tennis. And he played.
No, you're right.
Quality.
Nick Kyrgios, I don't think won any of the first 8 or 9 points of his match today, but then served 3 aces or at least 3 unreturnable serves. And you're absolutely right. Nadal didn't have that weapon to call upon, and yet was finding the corners, was getting deep, and actually was coming to the net quite often. His drop shots, I thought, largely were fantastic today. And he just imposed himself at the right moments. I mean, I got to say, when it got to that tie break, and he raced into a 5-love lead, I thought this is just what champions are made of. It's the clutch moments. And Djokovic had it, you know, as well. 2 sets of love down, knows he's got to win the next 3. And he goes, well, I've got no choice now. It's almost like they thrive off that a little bit more. It's almost that sense of, well, I can't get it wrong. And it kind of just, their focus just zones in. And, you know, I mean, I thought if Taylor were to beat Nadal, even though he broke back immediately, I thought he'd have to break him again. I didn't think he'd do it over tie break because I thought it was going to be such a pressurized situation. Nadal would probably come through it.
Yeah, and the tie break. Do you know what? I felt on the tie break that Nadal was favourite because, you know, if he got his serve back in, there was always that chance that he could out tennis him. But I actually thought from 4-4. I didn't, you know, like Nadal was under a lot of pressure to win his two service games, which he did. But I just felt, you know, even going into the tie break, I think doubt in Taylor's mind because it was 40-30 advantage juice. Do you know what I mean? Like on his serve. So if you look on that, he was taking out of a game three points for him. So if you're serving 6 times, he was going to take 3 points in average. So he was always going to be like a good advantage going into that tiebreak. It doesn't necessarily work out like that, as you know, but I just think that pressure of what he was doing got to him going into that tiebreak. And then, well, I just think, I don't care who was playing, you know, he blew him away in that those first 5 points, James. Absolutely blew him away. You know, it was incredible. It was incredible to watch. You know, if you're a tennis fan, that is as good as what it can be. You know, thoroughly enjoyed that. And listen, both of us turned around and said, whether you like Kyrgios or not, we was going. It's a win-win situation for us because Nadal, we've got one of our favourite or one of the guys we want to win it in the final. But I just hope now that he does get the. Do you know what? I didn't know that, but until today, that Wimbledon have got a scanning machine on site, so he can be scanned straight away, and then hopefully, like, you know, the scan isn't too bad and couple of days treatment. But these tennis players, are they human? You know, like I see players getting injured at football and being out for weeks. 2 days, they're back on the court doing another 4-hour stint.
Well, Djokovic and his shoulder. Look at that. I know.
Unbelievable. It's incredible. Incredible. Like, I've got so much admiration for them. And you know, when people say, "Oh, I don't like tennis" and all that, like, I don't think they appreciate the game. They don't really see what I see. You know what I mean? Like, it's tactics. It's a game of chess on a court. It's just everything there. You know, physicality. If you're not quite physically good enough, you're gonna get beat. You're one-on-one. It's like, I tell you what, it's like modern day gladiators. That's what it's like, you know.
Love it. I love it. I wanted to ask you as well about the fact that we do have a super tie break now at the end of 6-all in the 5th. We all know, what was it, 8 years ago or something, John Isner's famous game with Mahut that went to 70-68. We've seen Nadal and Djokovic in recent years at Wimbledon as well go through the night. over into the morning after. I think that ended something like 11-9 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, Federer as well in a final against Roddick. So we have had these absolute champions go head to head and it go late on. But are we a fan of the super tie break? Would you like to still be sat here at 13 all watching watching Nadal and Fritz fight it out?
No. Do you know what? I'm a traditionalist when it comes to it, but I think it's a good thing. I really do, because I think that the tennis drops a little bit light, and the quality of tennis goes, even though the excitement's still there. And I don't think it's fair. It's like, they're slogging it away out there. And for me, what makes it not fair, and it's just one of those, when you've got two players that are as good as each other going at it, that it can affect the next game. So, for instance, like when Isner played Anderson in that semi-final, the final was a complete washout because Anderson was spent. He couldn't do it again. So, as much as it's good for that, for me, I think it's the best thing. Like, you knew it was coming. And do you know what I like about it? I do like that it goes to 10 points, because I think you can have a couple of bad service games in a 7-point tie break, and it's all over. Even at 5-0, there was still a chance he could get back into that game today. You know what I mean? I'm all for it. You for it as well? Then I take it.
I'm fully with you. And actually, I just remind myself of that Anderson Isner game. They were ranked 8th and 9th seed in the semi-final of the 2018 Wimbledon. 26-24, Anderson took it. And I agree with you. And also both being big servers. I can't remember. I mean, obviously it was gripping for certain reasons, but it's not exactly like you're watching great ground strokes, going from one end of the court to the other. It's about both having big serves and maybe not necessarily being the best returners. I haven't seen Anderson and Isner, well, apart from Isner the other day, in a long while, so maybe that analysis isn't quite fair. But I am with you. And actually, the fact that it goes to 10, I mean, you only got to see Harmony Town was 4-love down to Serena Williams in their super tie break and still won. So you're right, it does leave that margin for error. Whereas first to 7, I know it's only 3 extra points, but first to 7 does feel like if someone races away 3-love up, they break, there's a mini break and they hold their 2 serves, you already kind of feel like there's a lot of work to do. So yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's been a good change. Let's talk about the other game that was on centre court today. Before Nadal and Taylor Fritz's unbelievable match, it was Simona Halep who beat Amanda Anisimova 6-2, 6-4. Not sure how much you caught of it, Lee. I was watching it. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to jump in there.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I didn't catch a lot of that game because obviously I was filming, weren't we? So I didn't I didn't see too much of that, So, I'll try and get, I haven't been able to get the highlights neither. There's so much on today. I'm you got the football on. I'm a big Yorkshire fan in the cricket. They're in the 2020 Blast Court finals today. So, you need eight screens. It was great watching it with you today because you had the old computer on and the TV.
We had everything.
It was pretty good to go.
Everything going. No, what I was going to say is, you know what I think's gone under the radar a little bit is that Simona Halep won the tournament in 2019, but then in 2020, obviously the pandemic meant Wimbledon was cancelled and she missed last year's through injury. So, this is her first run back since being champion. So she's got herself a really good run at Wimbledon, a really good recent history. In fact, if I just have a little look here, she's made the quarterfinals or further 5 times out of her last 7 Wimbledon appearances. So, she's very accomplished on the grass, and especially in the last 7 years. She's, she's a champion. She's been there and done it. And I think today on the big stage where, Anisimova has had a good tournament, Halep just kind of came through and, wins that first set 6-2. And she was 5-1 up, actually, in the second set. Now, I'm trying to remember whether she served. I think Anisimova served and held and then broke Halep. And then Halep had to go, is that right? No, then Anisimova held again, pulled it to 5-4, and Halep served it out. But it was kind of like Anisimova maybe was looking a little bit nervous, struggling to really get into her flow. And then once she was 5-1 down, it's like the shackles were off, and it was like, well, may as well go out swinging here and hit some unbelievable shots and, really worked Halep. But Halep kind of showed her nerves of steel and came through it. And I just think when you've been there and done it, a bit like Nadal today and Djokovic yesterday, when, you've been there and done it, you've been a champion and you've lifted the trophy on centre court, I bet it gives you such an edge.
Yeah, I think it does, and I think you can't beat a little bit of experience. It's the same as in football and things like that. But I think it's more key in games like that to see it out. Do you know? I've seen many a tennis player be exceptionally good, and then when it comes to serving out for the win,
yeah,
buckle, just like, you know what I mean, just have a wobble and cost them, like, you know. So yeah, so I can't think of the name of the champions. You remember she done it? She actually went and won it a few years later, but she completely crumbled in that.
Was it Muguruza?
No, before that.
But I think you're right. There was someone who basically had to serve it to win it, and they were quite a bit ahead. Is that? Am I thinking?
Yeah, I can't think of her name though. She's lovely. Oh, it's gone out of my head. But yeah, she she went and won it a couple of years later, and everybody was going I think she was serving to beat Serena, I think.
Oh, okay.
And she completely lost it from that moment on, and completely crumbled. I can't think of her name.
Let us know in the comment section, guys.
Yeah.
But Simona Halep, yeah, she came through that. It was a little hard work towards the end, more than she probably expected it to be. But I've got to say, I'm really rooting for her to make the final as well against Ons Jabeur. I just think with her recent Wimbledon pedigree and what Ons Jabeur has done all tournament, I just think that'll be amazing. But standing in her way is Elena Rybakina, who won 4-6, 6-2, 6-3. So she did drop the first set. She hit 15 aces today, the most since her opening game of the tournament, where she hit 12. But she's been consistently serving really well throughout the tournament. And I just think that is such a weapon when you're on the grass to have a really big serve. We talked about Kyrgios being able to just bail himself out of bad games or bad points or a bad rhythm by just going, right, 15 love, 30 love, boom. Or you love 30 down and you hit 3 aces. And, you know, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting quarterfinal between, it must be tomorrow. Yeah, it must be tomorrow between Halep and Rybakina. Have a little look. But Halep's going to have our work cut out.
Yeah, I agree. Great semi-final to look forward to. I know we caught the end of that game, didn't we? I watched that with you, like the end of that game, and the serve was key. You know, we were saying, I think, like the Williams sisters changed tennis. You know, the women's game, and that power side of it comes in there, and that's what you had there. I thought there weren't a lot in that game, if I'll be honest, and in the bits that I watched, but that serve, you know, do you know, like I think she aced. To win it, I think, didn't she? And like you think, like, well, if you're pulling over 15 aces to normally, like, to someone that's getting 3 or 4, that's a lot of points. That's a game and a half, 2 games, you know, that you're winning without anything, you know, where your opponent's got to be doing a little bit more. So serve's always key. If someone's got a better serve than you, James, you know, you're up against it. You know, you've got to use other ways to get through. Like, but ultimately, that'd be a good matchup tomorrow, because I think, like, the form of those two they're probably in the best form of their lives. So going into this, it's not like one's just scraping through. I think they're going through powerfully and looking really, really good. So I think it's going to be a great game there. Just got distracted there because Yorkshire took another wicket. So
no worries. There's all sorts of sport going on. Even the Euro started. You'll have seen, guys, on DR Sports. We are covering the Euros every single match. So go check that out. A couple more words on Rybakina. I mean, she's 23 years old. She's very, very young. And when we talk about having a big serve, it's not just about looking at the ace count. She won 76. I'm just reading it here. She won 76% of points on her first serve today. So, you know, that is just testament. If you're winning, you can serve minimum 4 times when, you know, in a service game. Well, you serve minimum 4 times in a service game, provided you win every point and you get your first serve in every time. If she's winning 3 out of those 4 points, that makes her very, very difficult to break. Now, I know she obviously lost the first set, but 4-6 and not a lot in it. In fact, how many break points? Let me just have a little look. So Tomljanovic did break her 3 times today. Rybakina broke her 5 times out of the 9 points she had. But my point is, it's not just about serving aces and, you know, boom, point. It's also serving that even if they do get it back, you're on the front foot immediately.
Yeah.
Because you're getting to the net quickly, or you're hitting the return very. It's something Roger Federer used to love to do. Is he'd hit a big serve, and even if it wasn't an ace, he was on the baseline, either ready to kind of almost on the half volley hit it straight back at you, or get to the net very quickly. I remember when he was working under Stefan Edberg, you know, he used to place a lot more serve and volley. So yeah, I think Rybakina and Halep's going to be a really good matchup tomorrow. Halep went into this tournament the 16th seed, Rybakina the 17th seed, so not a lot to split them there. But what I will say is Rybakina, doing my research, Halep will be the first seeded player she's played all tournaments. So it will be very interesting to see how she raises her level for that one.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Sometimes, you know, you go into a game or a tournament not battle hard. Do you know what I mean? When you've not been really pushed and stressed. You can't say that from the men's side. I think every one of them who's going into that semi-final have been pushed at some sort of stage. Now, if you're not pushed, sometimes that can make you just not quite battle worn. So that'd be interesting. That will be very, very interesting to see what happens there. Like, you know, but listen, you know, I think all good semi-finals. I don't think you can really call them. You know, not so much on the women. Anything can happen. If I'll be honest, the men's one, I'm going to call it Djokovic straight away. But other than that, you know, the others you don't know. But anything can happen in the women's game, and that's why it's so intriguing, James, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you know, you think, oh right, she's definitely going to win that game. Doesn't happen, like, you know. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, very, very true. And then that Rybakina did get the job done on court one earlier in the day. And after came out Nick Kyrgios, who played Christian Garin. Now, a reminder that Garin was playing de Minaur, who knocked out Liam Brody, knocked out Jack Draper. That was it. He was 2 sets to love up de Minaur, and Garin in 5 sets, you know, and a 10-point super tiebreak, managed to secure his place in this quarterfinal against Kyrgios. Now, Nick Kyrgios is such an interesting one because you don't really know what mood he's going to be in terms of, is he... No, I don't want to use what everyone kind of levels this. Is he focused? I'm sure he's always focused, but does he find his rhythm quickly enough? He doesn't always start games brilliantly. I think if I'm right, let me just have a little quick look. I think he's lost the first set in... So he lost the first set against Paul Jubb. He lost the first set against Tsitsipas, and he lost the first set against Nakashima. So he's lost... You know, in the first 4 rounds, he actually lost 3 of the first sets. He also was a breakdown immediately against Garin. So he doesn't always make the best starts, but he grew into this one very, very quickly and started finding his range.
9 points. 9-0 it was at one stage, you know what I mean? And I don't know if you can remember when he actually got his first point. I think it was from an ace or a good serve, and the crowd cheered it. Yeah, the crowd cheered a little bit, and he'd give it back to them. Like, I mean, like, that's how you know, dominant he was at there. I do think, again, I'll go back to it. I harp on about it quite a lot. The game before took its toll. For Jarin, is it his name?
Garrett, maybe Harry and
Garin. Yeah, I think it took his toll on him, really. Like, you know, but once Kyrgios broke, that was it. What I liked about the Kyrgios one, I'm going to be really honest today, it looks like a player that can win a major.
I agree.
He's got all the tools.
Yeah.
The only thing that's what will let him down is mentality, you know. But Rafa knows that he's in for a real game with him, and I think anybody is. You know, he's got a serve that, I'm going to be really honest, that Djokovic has got a very, very good serve. So has Nadal. But I'll tell you what. If you said to both of them, like, would you like Nick's serve? Take his serve. I think they both would, even with 20 Grand Slams to their name. They go, yeah, I'll have that serve, because I think it's phenomenal. I really do. It is accurate. It's powerful. His second serves, by the way, are as good as his first. Somebody he aces people with his second serve.
I know.
It's incredible. He's an incredible talent, James. He's very. I'll tell you what. I watched him very, very intensely in that the last couple of games. You know, all the things that are going off. He's got all the attributes to be a champion. He really is. And this being probably his favourite surface. I don't know if he's admitted it is or not, but I'm
pretty sure it is. I think it's his favourite tournament. I think Wimbledon is actually one of the few things in tennis he really loves.
If he's going to win something, it'll be this one. And you know what? If he gets past Nadal, I think it could happen. You know, we were talking on a show earlier on in the week. Do you think that he could win? And I said no because of the mentality side of it. Nothing to do with his game. But I sense something different about him this year. Like, do you know what I mean? Look at his focus and the way he goes on about. I've lost concentration again. Another wicket.
No worries.
Look at his interviews after the game. They're calculated. They're very. You know, he's thinking about what he's going to say before he goes and to the. You know, he's a very, very clever person, and I think that what I loved about it today is when they said about the coach, he turned around and said, "Oh, I wouldn't endure that on anybody." Like, you know, and I love that. What he's saying, there's things there. I'm thinking to myself, you know what I mean? This is a different animal this year in a semi-final. Let's face it, and I thought it was a great thing he said today. He said, you know, I thought maybe I'd missed the window of opportunity. So maybe he's growing up a little bit, like, you know, and realising that he's got an opportunity to be a Grand Slam winner, James. You know what I mean? And it don't come around too often, especially with the guys that we've talked about earlier on.
Yeah,
this is his time. This could be his time.
I completely agree. I think he looks more focused. I think you're right about his interviews. I think he's really got that Wimbledon crowd in his grasp, and in a lot of ways, you could say, why? You know, why does he? But I think it's because where he was once misunderstood, I think he's being much more understood by the crowd. I think there's a relationship between the centre court, the Wimbledon crowd, and Nick Kyrgios. I think Kyrgios has a love for Wimbledon in the tournament, and I think people actually know that. And I think everyone's really willing him on because they know the talent is there. And he is such an unbelievable entertainer. Forget the antics, just as a player.
Yeah.
That's what he pulled off today when he's running cross court. And he's sort of with a flick of his wrist. I mean, that is, and he doesn't have a coach, you know, and he said himself, I know my tennis better than anyone else. And, you know, he's sort of trusting himself to figure it out. And I think he just knows, if I focus, I can do this. And, I mean, today he was sublime again. After a shaky start, he really got into it. But what you said there about him being, you know, a potential Grand Slam winner, especially at Wimbledon. Look, Pippa called him the most talented player on the tour, and she included the big three in that.
Yeah, she did.
Pure talent, he is. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm not going to go against Pippa's opinion. You know, she really knows her stuff. But what we're seeing, you know, she also called that he might win this, like long before that, you know, before these rounds. And now I'm seeing it. I'm, like you said, I'm seeing a guy who, I'm going to say it now, I think he's going to beat Nadal. I think he's going to beat Nadal on Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. Do you know what's going to be as intriguing is the matchup between the fans, because I watched Nadal on centre court today. You know, he just the crowd were just, you know that Taylor that Fitz must be like thinking to himself, like, what have I got? You know,
yeah.
You know, I'm a young kid going out here with a crowd, but you win the crowd over. You know, there was a time when Nadal didn't have that, and it'd be interesting what that, because I don't know if when he done his interview, you got Nick, and it was like, you know. So it'd be very, very interesting to see what the crowd's reaction is. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that, if I be honest, I think Nadal would have a real tough time, even if he was 100% fit. 80% fit, I'm going Kyrgios all day long. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
But if Rafa does pull this off, this guy, if he manages to beat Nick Kyrgios in this form, and look, for a lot of people watching the video, they might be saying, "Well, Nadal's the favorite. What are you talking about?" But I just mean, with the extra strain, everything he's gone through, the injuries, and then the injury in this game, and the exertions at the French, and Wimbledon's, he's not been his favourite slam, far from it. He's only won it twice and had some very early exits at this tournament, though he does enjoy it, clearly. I just think if he gets through this and sets up another Djokovic final, I mean, you just got to thank the tennis gods for, for blessing us with these players. I think we're in for a great Friday, and Norrie Djokovic as well. Whoa.
And if he does win it, I'm checking his tennis bag to see if he's got a cape in there with Superman on it. Simple as that, like, because it's just superhuman what he's doing, like,
I completely agree. I agree. Let's just have a little look at tomorrow's semi-final. So we mentioned Rybakina Halep. We talked a bit about that. We also got Jabeur Maria. Tatjana Maria, apparently they're really good friends. I was hearing on commentary today that apparently they're best friends, and apparently one is, I think Jabeur might have done some babysitting for Maria before. I don't know whether that was tongue-in-cheek or relating to something else, but just a word on Maria, who's knocked out the 26th seed, Sorana Sistea, I hope I've pronounced that right. She's also knocked out the 5th seed, Maria Sakkari, and she's knocked out the number 12 seed, Jejena Ostapenko. So where I was saying Rybakina hasn't had to face a seed yet, listen, seedings can mean a lot of different things. Some people might not take them as seriously. I mean, look at Nick Kyrgios, hasn't played enough tennis to even get seeded for Wimbledon. But I just think, you know, she's come through a lot to get to this point, and she's playing up against Jabeur in the semi-final. So that will also be another gripping game, and look forward to seeing at the end of tomorrow what that women's final on Saturday is going to look like. Your tip to win it?
I don't know.
I'm going Jabeur. I think Jabeur will win the whole thing.
Do you know what? She's played probably the best. Halep, I think maybe. You go. I'm going to go Halep then. You go there. You go your way. I'll go their way.
We'll have a little fun. Maybe we'll have a little bet on it.
A little bet on that, like, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to leave it there. I've really enjoyed this, and this just a quick one. Actually, really quick, Lee. Is this one of the best Wimbledons you can remember in terms of how deep into the night, the length of games? You know, the
100%. It's been, the last few have been a little bit disappointing. Obviously, Nadal not being there. I think the one before that, of course, was before COVID. I think Nadal went out early. Murray wasn't about. You know, I think that for me, I like Andy Murray being. I know he didn't go very deep this time, but it gives that bit of excitement. It wasn't really that exciting. It was really the last couple of Wimbledons. I felt Djokovic just sort of, you just knew that he was going to win it from the start. So it just, you know, but this year, I think we've seen all the top. I know there's a couple of guys out, and they're shame for that, like, you know what I mean. But we've seen like a lot of the top players there, and performing, and no one's had it easy. And I think that even the women's draw, you know, it's had its moments as well, where, you know, like great champions struggle. Shocks going through and all that, like, you know. So I think it has been a fantastic Wimbledon. Like, I'm with you on that. Like, I think it's been it's back to where it was, and
I think bringing back. I say bringing back. I can't remember when they last did it, but having tennis on Sundays, I think, you know, obviously they used to have
first
the
time, isn't it?
and having it back. Is it the first time ever? So I mean, I think it's absolutely amazing, and the reason I like it so much is now it's split, where you used to have that manic Monday, and then Tuesday would be, I think the women would play again, then Wednesday the men, then Thursday the women, and then Friday the men. And actually to have it all more mixed out and balanced out, and whether that's always necessarily as fair for certain competitors who are playing earlier than others, I don't know. But for a pure entertainment value, we've just been treated to amazing days on the men and the women's side.
And constant game. You know, when it comes to the Monday Madness, it comes now where there's constantly a good game every day.
Exactly.
And I don't mean that, you know what I mean? Like, there's someone, you know, big going on. If you was to go this week, you'd be looking forward to going and seeing, like, the semi-finals are always great. But like, you know, the semi-finals, but like, I think like the fourth round and all that has been really, you know, every day there's been a feast of a very, very good tennis game. And the players have performed to their maximum. I have to say that, like,
completely agree. All right, guys, we are going to round it off there. Lee, a big thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Always. This is going to be the format, unfortunately, guys, for the next couple of days, as there is all sorts going on DR Sports. We are covering all the Euros, but we're not going to leave you without some DR Sports tennis content and some roundups at the end of the day. So don't worry, we are keeping an eye on it. But to make it up to everyone, we are going to be having a real coverage of the final, likely a live watch along as well. So we look forward to seeing what that will be. So big thank you, everyone. Smash a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, so you get updates when all the videos are uploaded. And we'll leave it there. Lee, I'll leave you off to your cricket. A big thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much.
You'll see you on the next one, guys. Wimbledon keeps delivering. I cannot wait for tomorrow. Let's get into it.